beloved Creator within and without. What is proper is defined as that which is fit, suitable, right, as at the proper time, decent, respectable, especially excessively so, real and genuine when stated as oath proper. When we are saying we want a proper oath, it is the clearest expression of a demand for an oath of integrity and explicit jurisdiction. Oaths compromised are not oaths at all, but become senseless rituals to fulfill a perceived obligation. An oath for oath's sake, ones that mix jurisdiction and intent, is a lie, not only to those speaking it, but for those hearing or reading it. Once we tap into our conscious, God-given awareness, we recognize that an oath of loyalty is, above all, to one's God self. In promising to oneself their performance to be of the highest order, man or woman, the part and particle of Prime Divine Creator, can swear to, the oath then becomes a document, a promise of service to others, not to the state, not to the government, not to some authority, arbitrary authority, man-made statute, but a promise to be that which springs from one's divine essence in all their performances. Add an S to proper in the form of a $sign, and we all prosper. Let it be so, and so it is.
Thank you, Charlie. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I've got a few things I'd like to say today. My first oath was in 1949 at age 11. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help others at all times and to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. The Scout law is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. I still obey the Scout law at 86 years old. I do not lie, cheat, or steal. That's a choice. My second oath came at 18 in 1956 to join the U.S. Navy. I want to deal with the failure of both entities. Yeah. The Boy Scouts are gone, ruined from within, and the U.S. Navy is no longer trustworthy. Yesterday I read the DOD said it was legal for the U.S. Army to shoot us. Is that any of us or all of us, or only selected ones? That is a United States of Washington District of Columbia, Inc. law. That is from the Lieber Code, the martial law for the states of the U.S., as they are subdivisions of the United States of Washington District of Columbia, Inc., with forts, ports, armories, and needful buildings. Operated by an industrial, military, executive, legislative, judicial, administrative, banker, Federal Reserve note, British accreditation registry, Nazi, Jesuit, Khazarian, jihadist, communist, UN, big pharma, medical, de facto, color of law, RICO society that should not be. So we took them out on Oregon, November 2022. It's all written down. Jefferson and others told us how to do it. We followed the prompts on Oregon. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in front of the Marion County Courthouse on High Street in Salem, We're going to have a trial. I'm going to explain the fraud that vitiates all contracts, either partially or completely. Buchanan was the last reasonably suspected of being lawfully elected president. Lincoln wasn't. And nobody after Lincoln was. We haven't had a Congress since 1861. We've had color law. That's why we have to pay attention to fraud vitiates all contracts partially or completely. It's our choice. On Oregon, we did all the steps and became the provisional government on Oregon. Excuse me. To become a provisional government, you have to take Article 1, Section 1, form a social compact, and do the work. Once the work is done, and all those informed, the US DOJ, the FBI, the US Marshal Services, the US Marine Corps, the state of Oregon, aka all caps state of Oregon, legislative, judicial, and executive, 36 sheriffs and 38 prosecutors have all acquiesced that the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, in its social compact, is the provisional government on Oregon. Then we formed a jury pool. To have a grand jury, you have to have a jury pool. So we created one from Oregon men and women who understand their jurisdiction, who they are. Men and women without ruler and without subjects. Sovereign beings. And nobody rebutted that. Not in the federal, state, county, or municipal governments, and none of the civilians that we've notified of our position. And we stand unrebutted and have stood unrebutted in every step since June 2018. So then, when you have a jury pool, and in our case, Tanya calls for a grand jury or a jury to show up for a petite trial, and one does, we have the Article 3, Amendment 7 authority to do it, and we have. We've had 9 grand juries. The last one came with the true bill to our Article 3, Amendment 7 court that we had 36 sheriffs on Oregon without a proper oath to the proper constitutions, with the laws of nature and nature's God included. Now, that's not a difficult oath. The Marine Corps has been taking an oath, and they were formed in 1775. They're still taking the same basic oath. They say same basic oath, but I have been unable to find one older than the one they're using now. That's why we think the Marine Corps, the land and soil jurisdiction of the United States Navy, which is Admiralty and Maritime Law, has the authority on the land and soil for the United States of America and for the United States of our Constitution. And that's the United States of America's apostrophe S Constitution that created the United States, not what we have in Washington, District of Columbia now. So we're going to take our true bill from our grand jury to trial tomorrow, 10 o'clock, Salem, in front of the Marion County Courthouse. Now, we've had 9 trials, I believe. We have a Oregon Department of Corrections that when they receive a writ of habeas corpus ad subject subjiciendum or a writ of mandamus and don't know how to act and don't know how to interpret it, their top 3 people were found guilty. They have no oath. They broke it. They have no honor. They cannot hold a position of trust. Kate Brown, Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, and Suzanne Bonamici were all tried. They have no honor. They all broke their oath on the Second Amendment. Then we have the legislature that decided to break their oath June 21st, 2021. They held session with us locked out. 89 of them were guilty. Mike Neerman opened the door for us. He's not guilty. He did not break his oath. But all of them voted to throw him out. I think they're too embarrassed to look at him. They couldn't stand to have him in their organization. An honest man that kept his oath when 89 of them didn't. Yeah, they threw him out. So it turns out that on Oregon, they decided to break our constitutional Republican form of government on Oregon on November 8th, 1910, when they passed Article 7 amended without a proper vote on every county. So we have color of law, and our sheriffs know we have color of law. We've notified them many times, starting in 2017, and we have proof of service that all of them were notified. We went to their convention in Bend last winter. 6 of us drove from all over the state. And when we arrived, we bought 2 memberships. One for Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly and one for our marshals. Then we bought 6 lunches to join them at lunch. And before it could happen, they gave our money back and excluded us from the building. That's not how you win friends and influence. the people on Oregon. But that's what they did. So for the last month, we have been telling them, all the sheriffs and all the deputies that we can find, and we've done a good job of it. They know. So their arraignment is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. After the arraignment, we'll have a trial. Your attendance is welcome. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.